Okay, so today I'm going to be teaching you how to make a mask. Obviously, this is something that is really necessary in today's time with the pandemic, and this is just something to keep you safe and also stylish during this really crazy time. So let's get started. Alright, so what you're going to need for this project is a pair of scissors, a measuring tape or a ruler of some kind, wire. I'm using pipe cleaner, but you could also use a different kind of wire if you would like to put in the top of your mask. 2 pieces of elastic. I'm using 7-inch pieces here, but you can adjust for your ear length. A needle and thread. I'm going to be using a sewing machine, but also hand sewing is fine. And then I am using a 14 by 7-inch piece of fabric. You can also use 2 7 by 7-inch squares, but 14 by 7 inch is going to be easier just because they're already connected. I'm also going to be using an iron throughout this video, which is an optional step, but it's just helpful if you want to flatten out the fabric and make it a little bit easier to work with. So one thing you want to make sure of is that the right side pieces of the fabric are always together. So you're going to be sewing with the wrong sides out so that when you turn it inside out, the correct sides of the fabric will be facing outward. And the first step that I'm going to be doing is sewing a wire into the mask. Now this is an optional step, but I think it really just helps with the shape. And I'm going to be cutting the wire to fit my mask. Alright, so one thing that I also did do is bend the edges of the wire just so that it doesn't poke out, and it's easier to just like slide around in the mask if you need to adjust it. So what I'm going to be doing is sticking the wire right on that top part of the fabric. Because I used a 14-inch piece of fabric, I just folded it in half so that I didn't have to sew the top. And then what I'm going to be doing is sewing under the wire, directly under it, so that the wire is stuck in there. So the next thing that we're going to want to do now that you have those that top wire sewn in is you're going to want to sew around the edges, and what you're going to need to do is put the elastic in between the 2 sewn together pieces, and just like I'm showing there. And so when you turn it inside out, the elastic is going to be sewn from the inside, and here's just a close-up picture of like what that looks like. So yeah, so I insert the elastic and then I'm folding the fabric over. And then what I'm going to do once the elastic is inside is sew all the way around, and I'm going to leave just a small gap at the bottom, and that's what I'm going to use to turn it inside out and just sew all the way around. Okay, so now that I have all of the sides sewn, I'm going to flip it inside out with this pocket at the bottom that I created in the process. And here, yes, you can see this took me forever, but yes, I turned the mask inside out. So once it's inside out, you have this little pocket here that you're just going to fold the raw edges in, maybe iron them if you want, and then just sew over the top. So that's what I'm doing here, is I'm just sewing it together. Now that it's sewn together, the last step is going to be, if you want to press it, you can do that. And then I'm going to be making a couple of folds. You can make 2 or 3, 4 if you'd like, but there's the first fold and then the second fold, and I'm just ironing it down and then making it really flat so that you can sew along those 2 edges just to make sure they are sewn down. Alright, so this is the final product, and it's going to be really helpful and stylish during this pandemic. I hope you learned something new, and you can go around and rock your new mask.